Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you are enjoying these IFX talks as we have a couple more in store for you. The next panel, Canvas of Cryptos, MENA's contemporary digital tapestry, is stepping into the world of cryptocurrency, where the MENA region is taking center stage. Please welcome our moderator, Sam Blatteis, CEO and co-founder at the MENA Catalysts, who will introduce his panel. Sam, welcome to the stage. It's yours.
Thank you. All right. Welcome to the show. Essentially, what we have here, this reminds me of almost like the Avengers. You have basically a dream team of people from all over the earth. I think from 5 to maybe 6 nationalities at least on this panel. And a lot of them, actually none of them need any introduction. Really superstars from Binance, general manager from leading the way on crypto risk at Mastercard, and Ayad Butt leading sales and trading at Zodia Markets, and last but definitely not least, Chen Arad. Welcome. And I thought, to kick this off, this is such a special treat to assemble all of these internationally renowned minds in one place, that we could kind of segment this conversation into a 2-level game. One is explore a bit about kind of what the private sector opportunities, challenges, and kind of outlook is that each of you have for the GCC countries. What are the lessons learned that you have found in dealing so much as experts in this field with this region? And then second, we'll get into the big picture of how governments are reorienting themselves and rapidly developing more sophisticated approaches toward crypto and developing crypto-enabling legislation that is truly turning this place into a magnet for global crypto businesses on multiple levels. So with that, I'm boring and I know about me and I want to hear all of your views. And so maybe, Chen, would you like to begin, and then we'll go down the line.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here. My name is Chen Arad. I'm one of the co-founders of Solidus Labs. Citigroup named us about 2 years ago category definer for crypto market surveillance. So we specialize in detecting and preventing market manipulation, all the way from crypto-native firms and exchanges to traditional financial institutions who are increasingly working in crypto. We also work with regulators and increasingly with what you'd call DeFi entities, protocols, etc. We're a US-based company, and I guess on this question of the Gulf, and I guess Emirates specifically and the Gulf more broadly, last year was really interesting. At the end of the day, we can talk all day, but I think that actions speak louder than words. 2022, many people referred to it as crypto's annus horribilis, the terrible year. I don't speak Latin, but that's what it means. And in the US specifically, there's enormous frustration with the slowness of how slowly regulation is evolving, and honestly, a sentiment that after 2022, during 2023, the regulators became extremely aggressive against specifically a lot of the companies who tried to be regulated. And long story short, we as a company that helps companies become regulated and comply with licensing really felt it within our pipeline. Many of our clients either moved, opened offices here, actually stopped licensing processes in some other places where regulation is moving too slow, and simply came here and opened up shop. It became, so we really felt it through the volume of the work. I think there are a lot of reasons, and I'm sure that many of my colleagues who are based here will have a lot to add, but I'll just say from our vantage point, the biggest advantage and point of attraction for businesses here is the innovative, forward-looking, and collaborative regulators. The fact that there's so much collaborative energy, there's so much forward thinking in terms of the regulation put forward across basically all of the regulators here, from VARA and DFSA to ADGM, is just a game changer. I try to remind myself sometimes, people criticize the regulators in the US that that the U.S. today holds more or less 60% of all the capital in capital markets in the world. So, there's some reasons why they might be careful, but the attitude has been not very friendly, and just the ability to innovate with confidence, knowing that as long as you try to do your best, as long as you try to collaborate and inform the regulator, you're going to be fine, versus you're going to have to deal with retroactive actions, etc. The way you do in not only in the US but also in other places, I think is simply a game changer, and one of the main reasons that there's such a bright future, and honestly, not just future, present for crypto in the UAE, and you can start seeing that inspiring, I think, fair to say, a lot of other countries in the Gulf. But I'll leave it at that for now.
Fascinating. Thank you. Ayad?
Thanks, Sam. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me. I'm Ayad Butt. I run sales and trading for Zodia Markets in MENA. Now, I personally and Zodia Markets have been very active in UAE for about 2 years now. And our experience has been nothing short of remarkable. And that's in a relative term and also sort of absolute. Few reasons for that, which I want to highlight, is regardless of which regulator in UAE, be it VARA or ADGM or any other jurisdiction, there is this attitude of evolution and learning by the regulators. So specifically, so I used to run a prop trading shop before, and it was absolutely impossible to just open a bank account in this country for anything that had anything to do with crypto. Now you fast forward that, we've got the channels have opened up, and it's not happened overnight. It's happened because the regulators have realized that if they want to become what they are and what they have ambitions to become, they'll need to make operations, they need to make business initiation a lot simpler and comfortable for startups, for established businesses, and that's what's happened. So I do congratulate UAE on that, and this is just one example. Secondly, crypto and digital assets in general has been marred by some bad actors and bad behavior, poor risk management in the last couple of years. And we've all had to learn from go back to our roots, TradFi, learn, improve basic governance, improve market risk, improve counterparty risk as well. And the regulators have played a big role on that. So just as an example, what happened 18 months ago in the crypto world, we've evolved since then. The good actors have continued to build, and Zodia Markets obviously is at the heart of it. And the regulators have held our hands, and we've walked together. And it's extremely important. We always ask us the question, who, why, where? And digital assets needs to always be comfortable with all these answers. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Myriam Ben Sayeh. Thank you for having me here. I'm leading crypto risk and innovation for Mastercard, looking at Eastern Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I'm based in Dubai, and it's been really a privilege to work in UAE and to witness how crypto is gaining traction and momentum in UAE, and reflecting on some of the factors most probably that contributed to make the UAE and the GCC. I'd like to talk about the UAE because there are really different realities, right? In the GCC, I cannot talk about UAE and Saudi probably in the same sentence because they have a very different stand on crypto. But when it comes to UAE, reflecting on what made UAE and Dubai and Abu Dhabi a magnet for crypto entrepreneurs and for crypto innovation, probably I'd say the forward-looking vision of the UAE and the rulers of UAE has been instrumental. So it's been like years now that UAE is looking at really diversifying its economy and leading with digital. And in the realm of digital, most particularly, there are different strategies today in place for blockchain, for crypto, for Web 3.0 that have contributed most probably to give that visibility to entrepreneurs and startups to come to UAE. So that's probably the first factor. Then, of course, the regulation, like regulators like VARA, ADG, more recently VARA, but ADGM, DIFC, DMCC, etc., have been like putting in place a regulatory framework that gave enough confidence for people to work here. So that's probably very important. The ecosystem support also in UAE is very important, right? So there is a great ecosystem of people who come together and who really like share that vision of trying to make this place a center for crypto and really a center of innovation. There are networking opportunities almost every week. There are events like that, and this is like one of the example of the successful events that are really organized on a probably weekly basis, sometimes on like almost daily basis in UAE, that give the opportunity for people to get together, to network, to identify opportunity, joint opportunities, etc. Right? And the internal market is also very interesting. The UAE is being a platform, of course, a regional platform, an international platform, but also looking at like the internal market. We have a population here in UAE of relatively wealthy people who want to invest in crypto, who like really, I think the adoption of crypto in the UAE is among like the highest in the world. They are in the top 3 or something like that. So yeah, all these factors have really contributed into what we are witnessing today.
Thank you.
Hi, Alex. Yeah, to echo my fellow panelists, this is top down, right? For the UAE, it's a top down decision, as well as grassroots. You know, crypto is out. It's in the wild. People have exposure. There's no barrier to entry. So it's also bottom up. You know, the demographic here. You know, there's I think 90% expatriate in UAE, so everyone is familiar with the troubles and tribulations of wiring money across through transactions and the expense and the time it takes. So, you know, with these two attributes, you know, it makes perfect sense for this to be a focal point. And you get that alignment. So top down, the leadership here want this, and then the layer below it is the regulators. And so, you know, they've been given this North Star, they've been given a clear direction that this is something that we want to engage. This is something that, you know, is part of our vision. This is something that will move us away from hydrocarbons. This is something that we will use and export and become a knowledge hub. So this is why the regulators are so proactive, because they've been given a North Star to aim for. You know, in the US, in Europe, you know, I don't think anyone on this panel or in this room would know really what the FSRA and UK government want with crypto. You hear different news back and forth. It's the same in Germany and BaFin. It's the same across Europe. In the US, it's, you know, probably negative. But, you know, here we have the ability to work. And this is what's great for private enterprise. This is what brought Binance here. You know, we have certainty. The government are aligned. We can see the regulators are proactive and you know, working to understand the product. And so, you know, we have approximately 10% of the workforce here in Dubai. We've got a smaller number in Abu Dhabi, but it allows us to grow for the future. You know, we can plan. We can look to expand. You know, it's not, you know, Web3 is all digital, and, you know, these are digital natives engaging this, but we're still people, and people need to live. And, you know, we're capitalizing on the infrastructure hub and the travel hub that is here in the UAE, and that's what makes it easy. You know, it's a developing market, but it's very easy to live in. It's not too exposed. You know, all the creature comforts. Everyone can go to and from home. And so, you know, it makes it a perfect place for anyone that wants to set up a Web3 company or a crypto company, because, again, they've got certainty, they've got infrastructure, and they've got talent.
Thank you. And now maybe we flip the script and we can go in reverse order back this way for the second half of this conversation. And Alex, I mean, and there's no wrong answer or perfect answer, but in your experience, what have you seen has been 2 or 3 of the most counterintuitive insights you've learned in expanding in the UAE that you wish kind of, if you had a younger brother that was pursuing developing a business in this ecosystem here, setting up, that you kind of wish you knew on day one?
It's important that you navigate setting up a business here correctly. Some things are very easy and digital. Some things are very difficult and not digital. For some of the bank transactions I do, I have to sign a piece of paper each time and send it to an office. I assume there's a man in an ivory tower with a mahogany desk stamping these things. Other things, digital ID, UAE pass, are seamless, quick. So, you have to tread carefully. You can spin your wheels. I've been in the UAE since 2015, and I was brought in to help navigate these things. So, it all looks easy, but some things are a little bit more tricky. Some things take a little bit more time than you expect, and you need to budget for that. Especially, albeit the regulators are very forthcoming and easy to work with, regulations are still slow. And you have to understand that for Web3, it's very easy to technically innovate, but there's a lag for regulation. So you need to understand that there's a lag. You can innovate much quicker. You can drop new products. There's always new things happening in Web3, but you have to understand that the regulators are not going to move at that pace, and you have to be aware of that. So, there are intricacies. So yeah, as I say, the paper and paperless aspect of setting up here is a contradiction. So I find that quite fun.
Thank you. And Myriam, would you like to go? I mean, in your experience dealing with crypto at Mastercard, are there certain kind of, I guess, counterintuitive insights that were not obvious when you started working in the field that you've learned through your experience that you kind of wish you knew on day one? And also then it'd be interesting to hear what's your general outlook on the crypto payment economy in the UAE for 2024?
Probably because we work with banks a lot. It's kind of the stance of bank on crypto, right? Which is, it really depends, right, from a bank to bank. But sometimes financial institutions and even fintechs can see crypto as an opportunity, but also as a concern, right? And it's completely understandable, right? Crypto and DeFi in general is kind of like the original promise of DeFi is kind of like to remove the control that financial institutions have today on money and on financial services, right? So like financial institutions are looking at that and seeing risks coming from there. Risk of disintermediation with more and more DeFi today proposing financial features, right, who have been to a certain extent the domain of banks. People can today borrow money, lend money, store money, invest, transfer money, especially in UAE where there are a lot of cross-border, payment and transfers, etc. So there is that risk of disintermediation, and also banks are seeing outflow of money from their institutions to crypto exchanges, right? People are today buying crypto and they are holding crypto to a certain extent. So they see that outflow of money from the banks and not necessarily coming back, right? I think 75% today of the crypto holders are long-term holders, right? So it's not necessarily coming back into that chain. So we see banks having a certain concern, but we are seeing also a lot of innovation coming from DeFi, or at least like from banks embracing blockchain and crypto and turning that into services that they can propose themselves to their customers. And by there, if you want, limiting a little bit the attrition of some of the customers into exchanges and into DeFi protocols, but also attracting a new category of customers, maybe youngers, maybe more interested into those into crypto and into programmable money and into also having the need of a kind of 7 days, 24 hours programmable services, etc. So I think for me it was really dealing with banks and dealing with those different perceptions to crypto and trying to navigate that and help and support the banks into renewing themselves as well.
Thank you. And Ayad, what aspects of the market are you most bullish on that are not obvious, and what parts are you a bit more bearish on in the UAE crypto economy?
So something that we're very focused on, and we see a lot of traction for, and you can see it in this arena as well, where I think we could very easily call it IFX plus Crypto Expo, right? And that's payments, movement of funds, movement of value, and the archaic way, which is still very well ingrained, is it involves high transaction fees. It involves easily 3 to 5 days of settlement periods, and God forbid, if there is a weekend in between or a business holiday in any one of the countries, then you'll be waiting a lot longer for your payments to settle, and it's costly. And that's where digital assets and blockchain innovation can cut down the settlement periods, can make it extremely efficient to move money, and also it makes it quicker. And we're seeing corporates, we're seeing payment companies, and institutions in general warming up to this. Now, what was the catalyst for this change? We all used to think during the zero interest rate policy period that once interest rates rise, blockchain and crypto will be destroyed. Yes, we did go through a difficult period, but from a stable coin and payments point of view, the high interest rates has actually highlighted where digital assets have an edge. Imagine if you're sitting on funds where you can potentially earn 4 or 5% yield on, if you put it on US Treasuries. Those funds are stuck for 5 days when you're trying to move it from one place to other. So you're losing out on 5 days of yield. Now the same amount can be transferred digitally through stable coins or non-dollar or non-dollar stable coins. They can reach their destination a lot quicker. So the time value has actually increased. And that's where the inspiration and the motivation is coming from the corporates and institutions to actually adopt this use case. And it's no longer a market where US dollar stable coins are active. You can now make payments from Euro to, let's Singapore, through stable coins, and this will only increase. So that's, for me, is the main attraction or the main upside that I see in 2024. The risk, Sam, very quickly, is the tail risk in the market. What I mean by that is we've got interest rates at 4% in US 10 years. The probability distribution for outsized outcomes now is fatter, it's higher. Why? The Fed could get the inflation mandate wrong and we could see recurrence of inflation, or they could actually get it right and we could see cuts from the Fed this summer, and you could be looking at 2-3% lower interest rates. What does that mean for digital assets? What it means is that as digital assets players, all of us in this panel and many in this room and in this venue, we need to be very, very conscious of our risk management. And I see complacency from a risk management point of view. around me. So I'd reiterate this message that, yes, we just had a great ETF approval from SEC. Now is the time to stay focused and actually prove to the world that we're here to stay and we're doing some good work as an asset class, as an ecosystem.
So I'll go back to your question around what would I recommend my brother keeps in mind if he opens a business here. And actually, I think your point was a great segue. I think from our vantage point, as a company that helps companies reach compliance, do not, we all raved about the innovative, collaborative, and forthcoming and forward-looking regulators here. But do not confuse friendly regulators with light-handedness. In that sense, there are a lot of places where there are friendly regulations. One of the things, and there are a lot of places where regulators are making a very intensive effort to attract crypto business, especially because some of the larger economies are very much behind. However, one of the things that I think really makes the UAE and some of the other regulatory frameworks in the region very promising is that there's on the one hand this inviting approach, this collaborative approach, but at the same time, very, very serious intentions to actually regulate and require all those things that are required and monitor for them, and when needed also withdraw and cancel licensing. It really connects to your point about complacency. Crypto is a very excited industry with a lot of very exciting projects. And also it has a little bit of a, historically at least, I think it's very different today than it was 5 years ago, but a bit of a, let's call it a slightly libertarian and rule-breaking approach. It's a natural part of innovation, but do not think that the fact that the regulators are friendly here means that you don't actually have to think and be very thoughtful about how you achieve compliance with those regulations. Do not think about risk in general and specifically compliance and regulatory risk as a box you need to check. You need to be very thoughtful about it. You need to be intentional. You need to actually mean it, because otherwise, you're going to find yourself, in regulatory trouble and significantly less competitive position. So, bottom line, I'll summarize by saying what I said in the beginning. Do not confuse friendly regulators with light-handedness.
Makes sense. It's interesting how we have a few islands of efficiency. There are some parts of regulators, I won't talk about UAE specifically, but you can kind of read between the lines, that are 20 to 30 years into the future of their neighbors to their east, to their west. There is still a great deal of financial regulators where it's not part of their job description to innovate or to experiment, pilot, test. They have a bigger mandate. Most of the securities regulators in the GCC are kind of the progeny of the central banks, which have actually undergone a sea change in the last few years. COVID did not just kind of wash away our sense of health security, but underreported but quite important is all 6 of the GCC central bank governors have changed since COVID started. Actually, the 6th one, Bahrain, he's announced he's moving on in the next few weeks. And so kind of the guardians of the financial architecture of these countries we're in the middle of a sea change where a lot of the new generation of central bank governors are 20 years younger than the predecessors who called for bans and issued pretty stern warnings. Central bank governor of Qatar is about my age, and they're not, I wouldn't call them all cryptophobic. I'd argue many are crypto curious. They still have a job to do in the central bank, which may not always align with the risk profile of crypto businesses. But I think right now we have a whole new kind of like a whole new audience to kind of brief, to interact with, and it is very much a contact sport. We can, where we can actually go and socialize, popularize our ideas in person. I've learned the hard way that, and I'd love to hear your thoughts each on this, that, being 20 years now in the Gulf, that it's not about being the first mover, the highest quality, or the lowest cost, determining who wins and loses, who gets licensed, who gets banned. It's sometimes about this. The coin of the realm is relationship economy sometimes.
So are you telling me that young...
Yes, the answer is yes.
That the young central banker is 25 like you?
Yes. Carry on, Maxwell. Go on.
Sorry.
No.
So...
Well said.
Look, I'll speak on this, if it's okay, a little bit from a personal perspective. I'm from Israel. My name is spelled Chen. It's very confusing. It's actually pronounced Chen. And I have to be honest, when I first visited the UAE about a year and a half ago, it was a remarkable, it was a very touching experience, because I did not think in my lifetime that I will get to visit the Gulf. And suddenly I'm here, meeting partners, colleagues, regulators, making friends, and it's such an amazing and inspiring place. And to me, it was just this moment. I remember standing right under the Burj Khalifa and thinking, wow, when people think about the future rather than the past, are willing to work together, and have a vision, good things can happen in the world. And it's hard sometimes to good things can happen in the world, and things can actually get better. And there's so much challenging stuff around the world happening. Definitely where I come from, sadly, that there's something really, really inspiring to me about what's been happening here over the past 20 years. And to me, it also really connects to the way regulators have been working with the crypto community, and the way the crypto community has been really focusing on it. I think Alex touched it as well, in terms of, it's more than just crypto specifically and the regulation that is friendly. It's about a vision for the future. Crypto's broadest mission is a vision for more accessible, more efficient finance. It's about expanding. It's not about replacing traditional finance. To me, it never has been. It's about expanding the spectrum of possibilities for people to engage with finance and make their money work for them. And I think that it really is encapsulated in what's been going on in the UAE, and part of it is a prolonged vision sustained by stable leadership. So I'll leave it at that. But nice. I hope it's clear that I'm very, very much inspired by what's been happening here.
Mic drop. And the timing of this is significant, because Financial Times reports that UAE is coming off the FATF gray list over the next few weeks. Anyway, Ayad, do you have some final couple of key takeaways for the audience?
So just to sort of stay on the same chain of thought regarding relationships, for me personally, that's the backbone of any institution, any business, any team, family. And if you get that wrong, then irrespective of how great the business idea is, you'll face some strong challenges. But if you get the relationship side right, then you can build on it and grow and evolve. And that's been evident in my experience in UAE as well, where not only the crypto ecosystem here, but generally the asset management, the traditional businesses as well, have this places onus on, they want to meet you, they want to hear you, they want to engage, they're open to new ideas, they don't judge you on what you've built in the past, and that to me was extremely refreshing. And crypto is even more so, where when I was just starting off in this region, I was able to connect, even through just LinkedIn conversations, people were open to talk. And that's clear across the food chain. Secondly, if you're trying to raise capital, or you're trying to onboard a client, or sell any product, and this I would say is specific to this region, you have to win them over as a person first before you sell your product. Otherwise, you won't be successful. And I've seen people, I've learned it myself as well. I'd like to believe I've evolved over time. And that's where the relationship comes in. You have to be trustworthy. They need to have confidence in you. to be able to trust your product you're offering. So I'd leave it at that with a slightly personal and emotional touch.
Well said. Myriam.
Yeah, so I'd like to build a little bit on that great news of the UAE exiting the grey list. And I think that in UAE, we are achieving really a great balance between being open to innovation and being open to everyone, but at the same time, being also very serious about managing risk and achieving a great level of compliance to regulation, right? And this is really a great job which is being done today by the regulators, and we work very closely with them, and we are seeing all the efforts that has been put forward into putting in place the requirements and the frameworks for compliance, but also being very diligent into onboarding and licensing VASPs, monitoring their transaction on an ongoing basis, and like making sure that they are also kind of managing their risks and supported into that effort, and also looking at the entire ecosystem and trying to see if there are activities, illegal activities happening, and being very serious about fighting fin crime, right? This is I think this is all the good work that is being done today by the regulator that is leading to this great news. And I think one of the challenges today is really to bring everyone into that effort, right? Because it cannot be only an effort from the regulators. It's really a joint effort between the regulators, but also exchanges, sometimes law enforcement, even banks, right? It's an entire ecosystem where everyone needs to play its role. And I think one of the challenges which is faced today is especially that we are in a complex ecosystem, right? Federal versus local government, etc., is to enable a better data sharing between all these entities that I've been mentioning in the ecosystem, so that the fight, against fin crime and managing risk and ensuring compliance can be done more effectively.
Thank you.
So going slightly back to topic, MENA is a growth region. The Gulf is a growth region. The UAE is a growing region. They're growing in population, in GDP, and in industry. And that aligns very well with crypto, the new industries. The FX industry is, I think last year it was the only region that outpaced and grew where the rest of the markets are collapsing. We're seeing this with geopolitics, right? The other regions are stagnant. They're not seeing these growth. They're not seeing population growth. They are seeing population growth. They're not handling it particularly well because the infrastructure isn't there. So it's green fields here. There's space, there's infrastructure, there's access to people, access to market, and that's precisely what everyone, all the expatriates, everyone comes here for. It's space to move, space to grow the business, grow industries. Back to the leadership here, top down. I think the latest push from Dubai, D33. We've seen 10x. We've seen all the other initiatives led by leadership to grow business, grow population here. So, I think it's very much in line with crypto. And then, with the change of guard of the leadership of central banks, crypto is one thing that you have to do to experience it. Lots of things and lots of people trip up with quite academic ideas about how things work without actually going through it and not seeing it and not seeing the nuts and bolts. And so with the younger leadership, I think they're all exposed. I have no doubt that most of the senior leadership in the UAE have crypto. I know it's talked about in the Majlis. So once they do it, everyone will follow.
Absolutely. To recap, it feels like a 4-level game between there's many people at the national leadership level throughout the GCC countries who are crypto curious. Many of them are trading. Many people at the youth level are finding creative ways to participate and trade. And maybe with the exception of regulators, emirate level regulators in the UAE, the kind of traditional financial regulators in a number of GCC countries and older merchant families, they still have some catching up maybe to do, or areas for modernization and growth. Basically to diversify. No one here is advocating putting all your money into crypto, I don't believe. That doesn't withstand scrutiny. And no one here, I think, is saying, let's completely ignore everything outside of fiat-based valued assets. And thank you guys. And we're just running out of time, actually perfectly on schedule. I just want to say, this has been a fantastic audience and panel, and congratulations on a really successful forum. I think you're just scratching the surface of what's possible. I can't wait to see what these people here do next. Thank you.